Hi, I'm Beate Chelette. I'm the Growth Architect. I'm specialized in growing, building, and scaling businesses. Welcome to part 3 of my video series, How to Sell More and Feel Good About It. And today we are in the third video talking about what you can do to help you with your sales. I have asked the question that many of you have answered. What's your biggest problem, most pressing issue when it comes to sales? And a lot of you have answered, and I've taken the time to go through all of your questions and then put together this 3-part series to answer what really has been bothering you, or what seems to be the issue with why you're not growing your business in the way you should be. So sales in general are difficult for many people because we get into business as entrepreneurs because we have this great idea that we want to share our special gift, our product, our service, what we've created with the world. And then when we put it together, we realize that putting a passion into our craft, or getting really good at this, in my case is designing these courses and putting all this content together, and then there comes the day X where you actually have to sell it to somebody, because only if you're making sales you have a viable business. And it's not so much about sales, but it is also about mentally, that when you are offering what you're passionate about, you actually should be properly compensated for it, because why wouldn't you? Nobody expects you to get paid for something that you hate doing and then not get paid for something that you love doing. You see how that doesn't even make any sense. So of course you should be getting paid for what you love doing and for making people's lives easier. So we are talking today about closing the deal. And the reason I talk a little bit more about this today is because closing the deal has a lot to do with the mindset. So we have talked in the first video about what the Growth Architecture 5-star success blueprint is. So first is turning your talent into a business. That's when we design a lot of the language. Then in the sales portion, we design the products, we design the pricing, the sales script. We actually do that on the spot. We do it together. And then it's authority platform building, leadership, and then it's growth strategies, where we double and triple oftentimes sales. So this is now about how do you close the deal? How do you tell people that you need to close the deal? Number one, you must have a closing script. And in this event, you will get the closing script, but I'm going to give you a couple pointers when it comes to designing a closing script. So closing scripts have a rhythm to it. So you want to find out what it is that the person, where it hurts. What's their problem? What's their pain? And there's a way to ask these questions that the client then will tell you exactly what their problem is. So this is often misunderstood in closing, is that you pushing what you have on them instead of asking them questions, letting them tell you what hurts them, and then you offer, and we talked about this yesterday, you offer in your packages the solution that is helping them to ease the pain. That's the secret to closing. So let's go through this one more time. You will not give them a pricing sheet and just say, well, we charge this for this. That might very well be the case. But in order to close the sale, you first have to understand what hurts your client. When you know what hurts your client, when you're really connecting with them, when you really understand the exact language, and this is a key in closing, is to really listen to that language that they're using and then repeat that language back to them and say, well, and I take tons of notes when I do my closing calls and go through my closing scripts, where I really ask them step by step that what is it that hurts them and how does it feel like, so that I can truly understand what it is that they need from me and if I can help them with a service, because of course you're only going to be able to close if you're offering something that helps to ease their pain or solves their problem. That's the only reason people are buying, is because they want it or they need it. There really isn't much in between. Like, you need toilet paper, you don't want toilet paper, you need toilet paper. And you want a new iPhone. You don't really need a new iPhone. You might need a new phone, but it doesn't have to be an iPhone specific. But you want that because, you know, they're telling you on just all the great creative stuff that that phone is going to let you do. They don't talk about the details of the phone. They're buying into the end result, which is you taking these amazing videos and photos. By the way, this video is shot on an iPhone in my little iPhone setup, so you can see, obviously I want and need an iPhone because I buy it specifically for this purpose, that I can do this. But that's just sort of a side note. It's just to get you thinking along buying decisions and how that works. So Rachel asked, Neville, hi Rachel, how am I going to be feeling good about what I charge when they say it's too expensive? And Rachel is actually coming to the event. We will be going through these 3 packages that I talked about yesterday. So the answer really to the question is, how do I feel good about it? Is when somebody says it's too expensive, you give them your low package. That is your low ball thing. That's the minimum you're gonna do your stuff for. And then they need to know that there's these other packages where they then have to recognize that they're really only getting the minimum. They don't want the minimum. They just want to not pay a lot, because that's what everybody else is training them. So we are not training them on paying only a little bit. We are training them on understanding on how to choose consciously which of these is right for them. You see how that's a completely different mindset. So you feel good when you become this problem solver. And this is a lot about what I talk about in growth architecture, is really how to become the problem solver and not the seller. If you understand what hurts them, and these really are designed in such a way that they're actually selling the solution to the problem, now it's very easy to close the deal, because now it's not a sale. Now it's like, oh wow, I think this is the one that fits me, that will be the right one that alleviates the pain of my problem. Carlina says, what about if I'm really shy? Well, I hear you. There's a lot of introverts out there that are not like me, blah, out there talking about this all day long. My daughter accuses me of injecting myself into many conversations, and she probably is right, but clearly I'm a classic extrovert. So shyness can be overcome by subject matter expertise. So again, when we build you the platform around what you offer and what you do in such a way that it supports you, we actually use your shyness as part of the solution. There was in a mastermind a long time ago, Bart Kristen, he said that, he stood there and he says, well, all the things that I do are real simple. I don't even know, what I should be calling it. Everybody else has all these fancy names. And then I raised my hand and I said, Bart, you need to call yourself the real simple solutions. And he actually called, and he's in the food service training industry, and he has to this day, he's calling his services the real simple solutions to whatever it is that he's doing. And it works really well for him because he's a real simple guy, doesn't want to make it complicated. So we bring part of who you are and into the language, so that when you sit there in front of them, you don't have to try to be something that you're not, which is horrible to watch. But then you can just say, well, in my world, this is how I handle these kinds of things. So if that's something you want, I have these different options available. So you see how that sort of all ties in nicely together. Heather Conley says, how do I convert clients from my website? Hi, Heather. So Heather is also a client, and I hope you're going to be coming to this event as well. She says there's a disconnect, obviously, between the website and between the sales process. So there has to be a customer journey which you want to think through, from when they come first to you to when they go through the whole process. So after they go to your website, what do you want them to do? And then once they've done that, what do you want them to do? And then once they've done that, what do you want them to do? So it's really now you see why I call it architecture, because it is all about creating these different steps. So you want to give them, you want to lead them down that path that has only one and one logical conclusion, which is to choose one of your packages or one of the offers that you're making, and then they can select that. Sonia Ramsey, and I'm going to go over just a minute here today, she says, how do I express a convincing one sentence to prospects that my services will help their business and they will see a return? Sonia, you hit it on the head. That's how you start. So instead of trying to take your service and then figure out what that service does, I want you to think about the other way. I want you to think about, if this is the client and this client has a problem and you know what that problem is, then what would be the first solution, what would be the second, and what would be the third solution. So if you build your products actually in a reversed engineered way versus building your products first and then pushing them out, instead of that, I want you to ask the client and then reverse it and say, this client would take this, or would take this, or would take this. That's how you get that message across, how they see a return. Because if it's in their head, if it is what they want, and that's what we do in growth architecture, we really, we crawl creepily into the heads of the clients to really learn what they're thinking, and then we use that in order to sell our stuff. So this is it. This concludes the third part of our video series. Thank you so much for hanging in there, for giving me your time. We are now opening our shopping cart and the doors for registration for my event, How to Sell More and Feel Good About It. So watch out for a video that is coming tomorrow. We are just putting a couple final touches on this. And then if this is right for you and you feel that selling more can help your business and that you want to work with me, by all means, please check out the offer. I've made it very, very sweet. And say yes, and then I'll see you already in September, and then we'll get you off to a really strong start in Q4. There is nothing more important than mastering sales and business, hands down. From all the things, you master this, the communication, how to talk to your client about what it is that you do and offer them and ask for the sales is phenomenal. So until tomorrow, thank you so much. I hope you got some value. Please use the comments and let me know how you like this, and see you tomorrow. Goodbye.